Recently we visited the Imperial War Museum in London. It's a place I've always wanted to visit for a very long time. In this video we will show you some of the amazing artefacts that are on display there. There are many exhibitions on different floors in the museum. Firstly, when entering you are greeted by a large entrance hall. Inside this hall is a Witnesses to War exhibition. All the artefacts here are aimed at showing the full force and fury of war. Firstly, there is a damaged Land Rover that was operated on the Gaza Strip by the press agency Reuters. It suffered damage from an Israeli rocket strike in 2006. Around the vehicle you can see some of the damage suffered. The wreckage of this car is a rather haunting piece of history. This car was destroyed in the suicide car bombing in Baghdad in Iraq in 2007. The attack on the 5th of March 2007 killed 26 people on Montgomery Street, a chilling reminder of the conflict within Iraq. The 13-pounder Nery Gun played a part in the First World War as part of the action at Nery in France on the 1st of September 1914. The company using this gun, L Battery of the Royal Horse Artillery, won 3 Victoria Crosses. Edward Bradbury, George Durrell and Davis Nelson, when under fire from surprise German attacks, kept firing against 12 German guns. Despite the death of Bradbury, the men kept firing and managed to capture 8 of the guns, driving the Germans away. The Spitfire on display flew 57 combat missions during the Battle of Britain in 1940 and was flown by 13 different pilots. Only 6 of those pilots managed to survive the Second World War. Near to the Spitfire you can also see the V1 flying rocket and the V2 rocket. A V2 rocket like this hit the crossroads near to the Imperial War Museum on the 4th of January 1945, killing 43 people. The T-34 Soviet tank shown here is a later model, being built in 1954 and being sold to the Egyptian army. It shows a huge role that the iconic vehicle played in the Second World War. This particular T-34 was captured by the Israelis in 1973. Upon entering the First World War exhibition you are greeted by the story of how the conflict began. You can see here a coat gifted to Kaiser Wilhelm II by Tsar Nicholas. Also you can see the uniforms of the soldiers. This French 75mm field gun would have provided the members of the Triple Entente with accurate artillery fire. Throughout the exhibition you can see some iconic propaganda posters, as well as barbed wire from the conflict and entrenching tools. This First World War sniper suit would have been painted by the sniper to help him blend into the surroundings. On display here you can see a huge amount of weapons used in the trenches, for example a mortar, knives, maces and clubs used for close quarter fighting. Also there is a large trench mortar and examples of World War I armour used in the conflict. This Livens projector would have fired gas bombs towards German trenches. This naval BL 5.5 Mk1 gun was used on the HMS Chester and shows damage inflicted during the Battle of Jutland. This gun could fire a distance of 18,500 yards. This gun was manned by Jack Cornwell, who won the Victoria Cross for his bravery on maintaining fire whilst all his gun crew were either killed or injured. This particular Maxim machine gun was converted to fire the standard 7.92mm cartridges during the First World War. Nearby is a British 9.2-inch Howitzer. This particular gun is known as Mother and was a prototype and the only gun of its kind when it arrived on the Western Front. Howitzers went on to be a key weapon during the conflict. This Sopwith Camel was flown by Lieutenant S.D. Cully and remarkably took down the L-53 Zeppelin bomber. Cully would go down in history as the man who shot down the last Zeppelin in the war. This Mark V male tank, known as Devil, was once a gate guarding opposite the entrance to the Royal Armoured Corps training at Bovington in Dorset. It arrived in the museum in 1966. Walking through the trench experience does bring to life what living in a trench and fighting in one would have been like. One of the most interesting pieces on display here has to be the sign for the Menin gate, and also the duckboards used across boggy terrain in Passchendaele. Towards the end of this exhibition you can also see some more uniforms and weapons, as well as the terms of the Armistice that ended the war. Upstairs is a Turning Points exhibition which focuses on World War II. Firstly you can see the dashboard for a Heinkel He 111 aircraft, as well as a map showing Hitler's invasion plans for England. The 15-foot Tamzine vessel on display here was used in the evacuation of Dunkirk. This small boat was used to ferry men from the shores to larger warships moored away from shore. There is also lots of helmets on display here, as well as a one-man air raid shelter. This wreckage is from the X-7 midget submarine. It was used and succeeded in attacking and putting the mighty Tirpitz out of action in April 1944. This manned torpedo was used by Italian forces. The pilot would steer the vessel towards a target. These were used in 1941 against shipping in Gibraltar and also against the battleships of Queen Elizabeth and Valiant in Alexandria. Also here you can see a German 36 8.8cm gun. Moving around this floor you can see the cockpit of a Lancaster bomber. This aircraft was instrumental in carrying out bombing campaigns on German cities towards the end of the Second World War. Over the next few seconds take a look around and inside. This Messerschmitt ME 110 Tailfin was flown by Heinz Wolfgang Schnaufer. It is painted with 121 kill markings, of which the pilot had downed 121 aircraft. You can also see the dates in which he shot them down, with 9 RAF heavy bombers being downed in one day. This Mitsubishi Zero A6M3 was flown by members of the Imperial Japanese Air Force. In early combat missions, the Zero gained a reputation as a dogfighter, achieving an outstanding kill ratio of 12-1. Towards the end of the war, the American fighters became much more successful with technological advancements. One of the most incredible artefacts on display here has to be the eagle from the Reich Chancellery. Designed by Hitler's architect Albert Speer, it was taken from this partially ruined building at the end of the war. You can also see damage on the eagle's wing, for example, possibly caused by bullets or shrapnel. This M4A4 Sherman Tank, nicknamed Willy Pusher, has an unknown service record. The Sherman Tank is still seen today as an iconic and destructive vehicle of the Second World War, despite its nickname for being a Tommy cooker. Near here you can see a German motorbike equipped with an MG42, and also an American bulldozer used throughout the conflict. Rather interestingly, this vehicle belonged to Field Marshal Montgomery. This Humber car would be where he would give his famous pep talks in North Africa, Sicily and Italy. It was nicknamed Old Faithful, and his speeches did so much for keeping morale high. Moving on, this is one of the 5 casings made for the Little Boy atomic bomb, with one being used and dropped on Hiroshima. Around this section of the museum, you can see lots of different missiles, including an Exocet missile. There are also a number of artefacts from the Berlin Wall, with a piece being shown here, and also a warning about leaving the British sector of Berlin. Also you can see a Ferret Mark II scout car. It is painted white with the colours of the United Nations and served with UN peacekeeping forces in Cyprus. This mural shows Saddam Hussein with a hunting rifle in front of a temple. The people of Iraq asked the British soldiers to take it down during the Second Gulf War. In one of the most poignant artefacts, you can see the mangled steel from the World Trade Center. This hits home as a powerful reminder of how warfare has changed over time, using hijacked planes as weapons. Finally you can see the witness stand from the trial of the 2 Libyans accused of the Lockerbie bombings. We did visit the Holocaust exhibition, however understandably you are not allowed to film in there. If you are visiting London soon, you must go and see this exhibition. It's an incredible and moving journey throughout one of the greatest crimes the world has ever seen. Overall we had a fantastic day at the Imperial War Museum. It really is an amazing museum with thousands of incredible artefacts on display which have incredible stories attached to them. Thank you for watching The Untold Past. To support the channel, please subscribe. Thank you once again for watching.